Hello everyone, it's Major Park. Today I'd like to talk about a command climate survey. I'm sure you guys saw on the news these days when I go to rbtimes.com. There's several incidents occurred related to soldier was missing or suicides or sexual harassment, and all those negative things that we don't want to happen in the formation. So I'd like to talk about one of the tools that a lot of commanders, a lot of organizations use is called a command climate survey to identify what's going on with the organization or the culture that should has to be changed, or some of the sustainable the cultures that have to be maintained. Using those survey to find those information. As you can see, my screen is a Fort Hood recently announced initiative, the Operation Phantom Action, a year-long effort to stem a sexual assault and harassment, extremism, racism, and suicides. Failure identified by post leadership are their leaders do not properly know their soldiers, do not always take appropriate action when needed, and do not hold others accountable, according to Army release on the effort. Phantom action looks to take bold and decisive action with an approach that places people first. So, whole point of the command climate survey is to put the people first, identify the culture and identify the climate, hopefully to change that culture. Emphasis on the climate survey. Army Regulation 600-20 requires company level commanders to conduct a unit command climate survey within 30 days of assuming command, 120 days for Army National Guard and Reserve, again 6 months period, and annually thereafter. It provides our commander with a tool for gathering soldiers' perspective and opinions on unit leadership, cohesion, and elements of human relations environment such as discrimination and sexual harassment and assault. You're getting a feedback from a soldier. One of the great tool that the Army uses to identify the information. It's not a just a option or it's just to something that because we want to do it. It's something that requires, as you can see, on the military times talks about those survey were in addition to command climate mandated by the fiscal year 2013 annual defense legislation, right, known as a defense organizational climate survey, or the acronym called DEOCS. DoD wide, we use a organizational climate survey. What is this climate survey tool? What does it look like, right? As you can see on my screen, this is a example of a command climate survey. The good thing about this climate survey is that it's anonymous. Keep it very objective, being transparent to your leadership. It's your chance to provide honest feedback to the senior leadership, your command groups, tell them about what's going on within the organization. This information provided below will not be used to identify you. It is by a computer to identify a group of people, male, female, military, even including civilian as well. Within our workforce, we do have a civilians. Your accuracy is important, getting honest assessment of your organization. As you can see, male, female, race, a military member or civilian employee, the GS level, or the senior executive service SES or NAF, your rank, your grade. Chain of command in the military, in the army, is your direct supervisor all the way up to highest level of a leadership, whether it's bottom up or top down. And the co-worker refers to peers, obviously, the immediate supervisor, your direct boss, the organization as overall, senior leader, its culture, work group, workplace. The reason that it's talking about this terms define is because it's going to ask you questions related to this type of group, this type of people around you. So that's why they're wanted to give you a definition of what it means. And these are the scale for questions. Can be very confusing or can be very neutral, right? You don't want to put neither agree for everything, right? That's just going to come out as you just pretty much skip through, not really providing any good feedback. I'm not saying this is wrong, but it's important to provide a really true, honest feedback, right? And that's going to help you, your peers, your organization, and for your leadership as well. And talking about organization commitment, emotional attachment to identification with involvement of military members and employees to their units, characterized by a strong desire to maintain membership within the unit. So you're going to answer with a, I feel like I'm part of the family, which is good, positive checklist. Hopefully that's how you feel. But if not, you can say check, disagree. You just have to go through that, right? And it goes into senior leadership's culture, group cohesion, how does their teamwork? Is it great or bad? And of course, talking about equal employment opportunity. Now you kind of have an idea, right? What's the point of all this survey? It must be part of unit assessment. Even though it says here company level command, it can be done battalion level or it can be done brigade level. There's nothing that says you cannot do it and how we can use that information to change that culture. So why do I talk about this command climate survey? It is to help the organization. That's the one key point. Number two, it is your chance to express your feeling, express your concern, talk about where we have to improve it as an organization. Last but not least, it is a commander or director is strongly urged to organize a team experts to plan, coordinate, and execute assessment. It is important to involve unit leaders and others in the process. Command climate survey is not to just also find about the culture, you also need to know about your rights. Go opportunity officer or IG or chaplain or sharp sexual assault responsive POCs. These POCs are critical because maybe you might have had an incident where there was a sexual harassment, right? Or maybe you might ran into a situation where there was discrimination was going on, or maybe you were bullied by some other service members. As you're, grading those, information on there, you could also refer back to your notes. When I say notes, when those things occur, I know it's very stressful. I know it's very hard if that really happened to you, but you still want to annotate those information on a separate your note or notepad or wherever it is, and time, date, all this information. It's crucial to write those information down. Why? Because this POCs, whether it's IG or EO, when you bring those incidents to them to report the incident, you have to have some type of information. And maybe you might not remember. So it's important that you write those information and bring it with you. They'll help you. And there's a way that also keep it restricted or unrestricted for especially for the sharp incident. There's different path you can take. Obviously, as a victim, challenging situation where you have to go through all that process, don't just ignore those POC information. Don't be afraid to contact them. The purpose for the climate survey is to serve newly commanders. A lot of command leadership changes every 2 3 years, or maybe even sooner. And they might want to know how was the existing or how was the leadership before. They want to assess prior to assume the command role. It's also good for a new commanders when before they arrive there, they can think about how they can command the unit. Maybe I'm going to improve on this. Maybe I'm going to improve on the culture. Maybe I'm going to improve on emphasizing about equal opportunity. Today's conclusion, I'd like to talk about three things. Hopefully, you guys understand what the command climate survey was for. Right? Why this is important to fill out a honest feedback. The purpose is to change the culture of the organization or identify any issues, or maybe even keep those positive culture. Be serious about it and write those information on there. That's the conclusion number one. And number two, that I talk about is for those guys who's not in the service, whether it's a civilian company or a nonprofit organization or anything that you guys work not related to military. What does your organization do similar like a command climate survey? I'm very curious. For this is not for the organization overall, but this is belongs to you specifically for your performance as a leader, especially in the army. Right? We only tend to get the feedback from your supervisor, and you don't get to see the surroundings. You don't get to see your situation awareness of what's going on around you. We have another tool called a Army Launch Command 360. It's a multi-source assessment. You're looking at 360 around you. You're not just getting feedback from your supervisor, but you get to see your peers, you get to see your subordinates, basically horizontally and vertically. you have the chance to get feedback from everywhere. You're getting a good positive feedback from your superiors. Maybe your subordinates doesn't think like that. You give a honest feedback on your performance. It is to improve yourself. There's no way that the perfect person. Everybody has a strength and weakness. To assess yourself, find out where you stand. It's a great tool. So going back to my question right here, so any suggestion to improve the organization issue, right? I know it's a broad question, right? But if it's a performance issue, as I showed you an example, we have this tool called MSEF 360 to assess yourself. The following question, how is important is leadership in the organization in changing culture? I'm not saying leadership is everything, but I do believe that leadership plays an important role to change a culture of organization. The tools like the command climate survey is critical. You will get everyone's feedback. But along with that, I wanted to ask you guys' opinion. How do you guys use this type of strategy to improve your organization? Who's about to join the service? Lastly, for people who's about to become a leader, who's already in the service, uh, take advantage of these tools. Honestly, look at yourself and something that you have to improve on. Thank you guys for watching my video. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for subscribing my video and liking my video.